Hello, hello. How's it going? Welcome to Godot Tomorrow. I am Emmy, and we are here every week on Wednesdays to talk about Godot and what we are currently working on. I had a little bit of an issue today setting up the stream, so I hope you hear me okay, and I hope the audio is good. Seems like there is a bit of delay on my end, so I might take a little bit longer to reply to your questions, but I am here. So yeah, I might have like a smaller stream this week. I always say the same. Last one was 2 hours, which was 1 hour more than usual. But let's just jump into it. I wanted to cover a little bit of the current news about the release for 4.6 and then answer some questions and not much more. So a pretty light update this week. And yeah, we will see. Maybe moving forward, maybe start next month, I try to do a bi-weekly streams instead of every week, but so far it's been working out well. But yeah, let's go. First thing I wanted to go over is something that maybe not a lot of you might know, so I'm letting you in on a little bit of a secret, which is that there is a repository called Godot website, and in here is where we develop the website in general. The website also includes the blog posts. So that means that every blog post we are working on, so for instance, here, if you open pull requests and you open on closed, you will see all the blog posts that we released and the discussion that happened. So let's say, let me check one. The 4.6 Dev 5 blog post, for instance. If you open it, you will see that somebody, in this case Clay, had made a blog post. You can see the changes and people leave suggestions and updates. Sometimes the person who's writing the blog post is not a native speaker. It's not the case here, but either way, we have John Finesse, who has been helping out a lot with a lot of typos and things like that. And it's a great way to get everyone to contribute to also our blog posts. And this has been working very well. Of course, that means that whenever there is something new, we kind of spoil it to the community, but by adding it here. But in this case, that might be good for you if you're a professional waiter, a professional Godot waiter. You can get a better idea of when blog posts are coming out. In this case, we have the 4.6 RC1. So the blog post for the release candidate one. And if you go here to files, change it. I can maybe zoom in a little bit so the text is a little bit bigger. You can see what changes happened in this PR, and in this case, you get a date. So 14th of January. That means today. So it seems like this blog post is scheduled for today, and you can read it here and see, if sometimes, you can find a typo here and there. And you can, if you see something that you think is wrong and you have a GitHub account, you can click on any of these lines and you can leave a comment saying like, hey, I think, these words should be written like this. Maybe this was a typo, or the link here is not properly set. We had an issue with the previous release that we had a link on YouTube that wasn't, it didn't have the HTTPS semicolon at the beginning, so it didn't open properly. So if you catch something like that, you can either tell me or tell anyone on our team, or just send a recommendation here as a comment. And yeah, this is basically the behind the scenes of how the blog posts get published. Of course, some of the blog posts, we work on them on a shared document before, and then somebody makes a post. But this is usually how you can see. So So yeah, I set it up here locally in my machine and I have it here running. So even if the blog post hasn't been out yet, you can run it in Jekyll in your machine and see here the blog post in all its glory. It's a better way to check it this way because sometimes reading it as Markdown gets very confusing, and even if it looks okay as text, when you open it here, maybe the text was flipped around or some character got left in. So it's always better to check it on the final version. Now, talking a little bit about the 4.6 release candidate 1, it seems like we are on track. The estimate for the release team was to have the RC1 around this date, so seems like everything is going according to plan. That means that we are not far away for getting the official release. Maybe a couple more weeks, 1-2 weeks. I think it should be okay, depending on how the feedback comes from here. So yeah, you can expect it maybe around last week of January of this month or something like that. In this release in particular, we have some highlights, but as always, if it's already a beta or if it's already a release candidate, that means that all the changes here are most likely going to be fixes, which is the case here. There are some additions that might be a little bit more ambitious, but still, like if it's important, it gets in. But nothing needs to be risky at this point. Everything risky goes straight out to 4.7. So yeah, that's the blog post. Please leave any comments if you want to, but if not, like just you don't have to. But if you follow the Godot website repository, you can get an insight here, and you might be helping us out sometimes with some typos or spotting some things we missed before the release. So for the release itself, there is, as always, we do a page, right? In the previous releases, let's see, we had like these sort of cool pages with a lot of like videos and stuff. I commented on the last stream a little bit about it, but we are looking to change a little bit the approach on how we present this, but not too much. In this case, we do have now, this is a work in progress, I have to say. Tivo, Passive Star, and GDQuest are helping us out with setting up this new release page. And of course, all this is a work in progress, so this is not final. I'm just letting you take a look at it behind the scenes. And right now, Tivo is collecting some images. I know some of these are gonna get replaced. Some videos are, like need to be recorded or things like that. But this is more or less how the page will look like. And there are some things that you might be able to help if you want to, because in some of the features, there are some videos missing, and it's a bit hard to get them, especially like, let me jump to the one that we are having issues with, just spoiling everything for you, but we already seen what might be coming. Where is it? It's about the controllers. Maybe I should open just the post from Tivo. Let's see. So many. Scripting. Wow, so many changes. Okay, I just went past it, but let me open the post. So here Tivo is asking for, the feature in those controllers that have like an LED light that you can control. If you do have a gamepad and you can try this feature out, make a video about it, please send it to either of us. And yeah, I think it will help a lot. Like, we just need some video there. Probably a screenshot or like a stock photography can work, but I don't think it will be as exciting. I think like ideally in something like this, we will have the color selector in one side and then the controller changing LED. Um, but yeah, this is the preview of the page. And yeah, if you want to also like maybe you want to check it out, you see a typo, you see something that's not completely accurate, the code is also hosted on GitHub. So same as with the website, I'm gonna leave a link here on the chat. You will be able to make a PR, open an issue, anything like that. Or if you want to just keep up to date with what changes are happening, this is where you can see it. So I'm very excited. I'm really, really happy that TiVo and GDQuest and Passive Star and the release team in our end are all working together to make this happen. And I think it will look really, really cool. And yeah, we'll see if this new page excites people about 4.6. Last time I was talking about it, a lot of people mentioned that they were excited about it, but myself, I haven't seen too many people commenting on it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the final version looks like, and you can compare to here. Also, if you want to see TiVo working on this, he's been streaming this on his Twitch channel. So I'm gonna leave a link here. Let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna leave a link so you can go follow TiVo on Twitch, see how he works on the page live, and he's been doing an amazing job. So yeah, you go follow TiVo, subscribe. It's been great. Now I speed ran through it a little bit. I hope you took some notes, but summarizing it, the release by the end of the month, every blog post gets done in public, and the release page is getting done as we speak. So in the next couple of weeks, we should have everything together to release. Let's go now to the comments from the previous video. I would love to go over them and maybe catch up. I've seen a couple of them on the forums that we're also gonna go and look. So reviewing the 2025 posts has been great. A lot of conversations resurfaced, and Respite from Reality, who's been also a viewer here and really appreciate his feedback on the asset store, said that 4.4 UIDs are easily one of my favorite features. It basically the only thing I prefer from the Unity editor. You can shuffle files arbitrarily and your project won't break. It just finds the files in the new location. You also don't have to change paths in script if you move something, if you load with UID instead. So, those are the things that we never hear from people. A lot of people just complain, and when they like something, they just don't comment anything, but I'm super happy to see somebody enjoying and complementing the 4.4 UIDs. Okay, Outside Pond says, well done and thank you. Okay, thank you to you too. David C. Drake, hooray for Godot. The progress is always impressive. Many thanks to the devs. Many thanks to all the devs, like same. And here we have a comment asking for subtitles. This is something I've been asked by a few other people, like especially Spanish speakers or Italian speakers. I really don't know. I tried to change the settings, but you should be able to automatically translate them. I don't know. If we were to make regular videos that are not streams, of course, I think we will try to do the effort to translate them. But for now, adding subtitles, unless I'm checking something wrong, it's not very easy to let the community upload them or things like that. But yeah, anyway. update on sculpting and texturing in Godot without plugins. I don't think we're ever going to do this. I remember Tosmetray 6729. You asked this and I missed it. I noticed while I was just rewatching that part of the Q&A. This seems like something that is a little bit out of the scope for Godot. We don't want to provide any sculpting tools. There's other tools like Blender or other stuff like that that you can do or use, and they will always be a better option. And in Godot is where you put everything together. It's not where you actually create those assets. So I don't think that without plugins you're gonna see it anytime soon. If somebody were to contribute something like that and we had the money to hire someone to keep them up to date and all that, and the community really wanted it, maybe, but it feels like the tools are going to be really behind something, in texturing, like, really, really behind from any other option that you already have available. Yeah. Wotan Studios says 4.6 no big impact. I was waiting for the new AK system. So for me, 4.6 has more impact than 4.5. That's great to hear. Yeah, I wasn't speaking about not having an impact per se. I was more like commenting on the not having an impact on social media or in the community spaces where we are frequenting, right? Like I remember the previous releases got more hyped, got way more like attention, and this time it's just different. Maybe it's a thing about timing. Maybe it was the end of the year and people were busy going back to visit their families and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's very impactful, and many of the features that are coming are now cementing what the next 10 years of Godot will be, with things like Jolt being something enabled by default, and things like that that took a long time, to just replace. But yeah, I think it will be a great release. And inverse kinematics is another thing that many people were waiting for since the release of Godot 4. So yeah, those are very, very important. And the last comment we have here is a little bit of brain rot, so I'm going to skip. You probably are reading it already, so I'm sorry. Yeah. Then on the forums, we have Arte saying, "What is the state of C Sharp?" I remember there were plans to move it out to a GD extension, but I haven't heard anything about it in a long time. So there is an internal testing now going on among the developers. So the maintainers of Godot are trying it out and seeing what works and what doesn't. And soon, probably after 4.6 release, we're going to make a blog post inviting the people to try the C Sharp as GD extension, and collect more feedback. So I would say it's ready, but we're focusing on 4.6 and it should come just right after it. Have you considered adding support for a render list? Oh, this is another rendering post. Maybe I'm cutting it here on the screen. But yeah, this would allow building the render list using multiple threads externally and then submitting the entire render list to a rendering engine in the main thread. So what I would say, Sang Jiangen, is that this looks very much like a proposal, and I would write a proposal about it in the proposal repository instead of trying to to ask if we have considered or not doing something, because I don't know specifically about this one myself. I don't know. Probably Clay has considered it or somebody has mentioned it. So the proper place to know if this happened is looking on the proposals repository, and if you don't find anything, creating a proposal with what you want. But that would be more or less it. And those were the questions I got. I think I missed a few on previous videos, but I I don't want to go now scavenging hunt for those. So if you have here something in the chat you want to add, I'm happy to answer. I see the chat has been moving a little bit. Let's see. Um, what can we expect from Godot 5? Will there be improvements for creating open worlds? Well, I think that the improvements for open worlds can happen even in Godot 4. I don't think that the reason why we're not doing that is because we are focusing on Godot 4 and then we need a Godot 5 to do so. But it's just that you need someone to work on it. And at the moment, nobody is working on it. Nobody is donating specifically for that. And there isn't a lot of demand for it. There are many people. I'm not sure if that's your case. There are like one people studios. So basically, a very motivated person who wants to do a GTA 6 kind of game, which, maybe they really think the limitation they have right now is Godot, but that's not really the case. But there are some things that might come down the pipeline in Godot 4. So I don't think um, that's what's keeping us from doing it. Yuto Gaming, hello, finally catch stream. Have a nice stream, Emilio. Well, thank you. I'm happy you were able to catch a stream, and welcome. Any more optimization update? Yes, on the 4.6 release, there are a lot of optimizations. You're going to see them. A lot of the things that happen, for instance, in D3, D12 were optimizations. And yeah, that's always something that we care a lot about. We were working also together in training a little bit the maintainers into how to use profilers and trying to get a better knowledge base for people to make it easier for them to improve the performance. Problem with performance updates is that even if we communicate it, even if we say, hey, this has been this performance improvement, we can now do 1,000,000 images in a fraction of a frame, like nobody really amplifies that. But there's some topics that the community really talked a lot about, and performance improvements are never one of those. It's the same as at the beginning when I was saying, like, I really like reading that UID comment because it's somebody saying something positive about it. I feel like with all the performance improvements we made a lot of people just happy with them and not comment anything about it. But there has been a lot, and it's hard to make it to show it, right? Like, how are you gonna really show? You can do number bigger number, good, but other than that, it's hard to showcase. But yeah, I just found out I can't send signal in animation player. Any reason for this? I'm not entirely sure. I think you could, and if not, you can call a function, and that function can call a signal. But I'm not sure exactly what you mean in your setup. You should be able to use signals with the animation player. What is the progress for C# web builds? Well, same as unfortunately last year. The C# team is working on the GD extension thing. Once that's done, there will be work done on the web builds. But yeah, even if it's annoying, and I know the C# developers want to export their games for web, it's a very underfunded area of the engine, and the percentage of users we have for C# is very small. You could argue that that's because we don't have web exports, but still, it's a bit hard to justify. I would love, like, I'm talking with some people, but I would love to secure some more funding specifically for web, and that would include maybe hiring another person to work specifically on web exports. But yeah. What is God's main goal to achieve in next dev post? Well, as always, our dev posts are just to let people know what things we're doing. and get them excited to maybe contribute. So those two are important. But as far as I know, the next dev post will probably be the one for C Sharp. But yeah. And let's see more. Quebble uploaded a video on a plugin he's working on today, and he complained that the terrains in tilemap layers are badly optimized. Have you heard anything on that, or do you have anything to say about it? I haven't seen the video, but yeah, tilemap layers have received some optimizations. Let me check, because I remember like on 4.6 there are like the batching of the collisions. I think that was it, or that was 4.5. Don't remember. Still, like, would be nice to see the video first without commenting. But yeah. Are there any updates on VRAM management optimizations for 3D? That seems super general. Yes, there are updates and it's better. That's also a super general answer. I think most of the struggles I've read about are about precompiling shaders, which is taking a long time. So one thing we are trying to do is get access to some projects of some developers that are working on big Godot games. So our developers can go into those projects and try them out and debug them, because we don't have bigger demos for us to test those things. So I think this collaboration will be useful for everybody. But yeah, Capital plushie, yes. If you want to order the plushie, I have to insist. Let me look for the link to it. But you can get it. I've seen a lot of people getting it and sharing screenshots on Reddit. So if you want yours, please go to the link here in Makeshift, order it. Part of the money goes to the foundation. And yeah. Emiliano, aguante Godot. Estoy haciendo mi primer jueguito. Aguante. Well, hello to Spanish speakers. Maybe I should do a day in Spanish. I don't want to switch languages. But yeah. Karok's next version will be better than previous one. Confirmed. Yes. But that wasn't always the case if you asked all the people for Godot 4 release. I remember a lot of people being very angry, like, oh, Godot 3. What was it? 3.3 or 3.2? It's better. No, it was 3.4. I don't remember when those lined up. But yeah. What I can for sure promise is that 4.6 is gonna be better than 4.5, and 4.7 is gonna be better than 4.6. But yeah. Okay. Viremorphe says, I mentioned open worlds because the developer of Road to Vostok had to hire a C++ programmer to modify the engine because it had a lot of stuttering and jittering in its open world. Yeah, well, that's one of the oh, Tosmetre, I already replied to your question. I'm gonna have to put you in a timeout, but I already replied to your question before. What was I saying? Yeah, that's the ideal case, right? Like, the ideal case is that if you really found something in Godot that's not working for your project, you can hire someone if you don't have the expertise to do it. I don't think the person, I think Antti is his name. We chatted a little bit, so he definitely has my contact. He didn't reach out to me, so there was no way for me to know. But one way is reaching out and asking directly if there is anything we can do. And if not, you can always hire someone develop a fork inside your company that really specifies, like, really changes the engine in a way for your game to work the best. And that's why this is open source, right? That's why you want an open source engine. But yeah, I need to also get up to date with the Road to Vostok devs. But yeah, uh, we get one comment per minute. You don't have to spam to get seen. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know, like, which were the changes for open worlds. I remember we hired a person who worked a little bit on making some improvements. Those improvements didn't get into the release because it had to break some compatibilities and things like that. But the work then got stopped for other priorities. And as always, is, you know, the majority of people have some needs, and then maybe there might be a couple of users that have some specific needs that are not met, and that's where it might feel a little bit discouraging sometimes to open a report, because if it's only you, maybe another person, two people asking for something, it's not very likely that you will get the attention the issue deserves. So there are some ways to circumvent that, but you need to have at least some other, like, critical mass of users demanding something for us to really get to it. If you open our GitHub page, or if you open any proposal page, you will see a million different developers with a lot of different needs. So our biggest challenge is to make some sense out of that, and get to it. But yeah, a couple of more questions, and I think I'm gonna leave it here. But we'll be back next week, and hopefully, yeah, if this pace of the updates are slowing down and there isn't much more, I might have to move this to a bi-weekly stream. But yeah, I will let you know before that happens. Let's see. Will we get visual programming like Unreal Engine in the future? Rokaru Games asks. Probably not. At the moment, one of our priorities is improving the flow of you implementing your own scripting language. Like, it could be Python, it could be JavaScript, it could be Rust. So once we have that done better, somebody can come in and make an extension for a visual programming, sort of like blueprints. And if that's good enough, it might get the Jolt treatment and get included into the base experience. But at the moment, we don't have anyone working internally for it. There were some teams working on them. I remember Orchestrator is one of those, and the other one by the Endless Foundation. I don't remember it right now, the name. I think it was block coding by the Endless Foundation. This one is also good, and they have been developing this one and trying it out with students, and it's been working well. It is similar to Scratch, but yeah. If any of those end up working well, we might get them in. The biggest issue I found about the visual scripting tools compared to something like Unreal, and the main reason why you don't see a lot of visual scripting in Unity, even if there are very popular plugins, and I think they even bought one of those companies and included some of it, is that for blueprints to work, you have to have a lot of functionality specifically for doing things in a certain way. And all those pre-made elements that you get on your games need to be already exposing very simple nodes for you to use. Because if not, you end up doing basically programming, but with blocks. And that's so much more complicated than what you can do in blueprints or something like this. So you need, on one hand, the visual programming, which we kind of have with the graph nodes and all that. But on the other hand, you need the libraries that connect to each node, how each node should have its own pre-made cards or like nodes for that, and it's a lot of work, and it will be very prescriptive. Like it will tell you more or less how you can interact with things, and it creates a layer of complexity. Maybe eventually I would love to, because that's how I learned to program, with the drag and drop kind of coding, and then I moved to code. But yeah, it's just not not there yet. Uh, what do you think of Google's anti-gravity working alongside Godot? I made some great progress. I don't know what anti-gravity is from Google. Any updates for GDScript? I feel like the document side of it's quite lacking. You mean the documentation? Oh, GD extension. Oh, well, there's been a lot of progress in GD extension, and as I said before, like we want to improve it. So every time there's something new, we try to add it, and it's difficult to document it because not a lot of people know about it, and the people who know about it are busy working on it. But it will be nice once, maybe after a few releases, we can do like a documentation sprint or something like that. So Billy Drink asked more of a general question. Where do you see Godot 10? As in, do you believe that open source is the future, or will community-driven projects always fall behind big corpus? So I don't know where I see Godot 10. Feels like a very scary number. Maybe too big, especially because unless we change the way we name the versions, that will mean that that's like in, I don't know, 20 years, like maybe 30 years, 40 years. I hope there's something better by then. I hope there's many alternatives, and it's a bit tricky to imagine, but I think open source is the future, and it's being more and more the present lately, especially with everything that's happening on Windows. We see a lot of people coming to Linux. And I think the last part of the question that says, or will community-driven projects always fall behind big corpus? I think that's the opposite. I think corpos have a lot of money, they can hire a lot of people, and they can get you from zero to an engine very quickly, like to a full-fledged software. The problem they have is that they cannot maintain that for a long period of time. And if they do, most of the time they end up working for the people who are owning the company. And those are not people who are using the software. So the people who have the money, they want more money, and they don't care about the software. So they're always asking for more money, more money. We need to make more money, more money. And in the long term, the software ends up being worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. The people who had the expertise, they leave. The people who join, they might not really have any say into what things are being done. So what happens with open source is the opposite. Like you start with something really, really bad and crappy. And that with time it gets better and better and better and better, but just very slowly. So in the long term, you see one coming down and the other one going up. And you've seen that with any other software and open software areas. And I think you will see that same in any other areas where there's an active community working behind a project like Godot. But yeah, that's more or less my answer to that question. So yeah, I hope Godot 10 is good. I hope it's better than Godot 9. That much I can say. Godot is missing texture area lights. PR 108219 is ready and waiting. Please review and merge it for 4.7 to boost engine realism. Well, let me check the PR really quick. Let's see. I'm opening it in a browser. Okay, so this is the PR. Let me open it in the in the other tab. Okay. I know which one it is. This one looks really cool. Yeah, I think it will get merged. If you can see here, it has like how to know if a PR will get merged. First of all, it has a lot of support. People like it. Even if this sometimes doesn't mean that the PR will get merged, but it's a strong signal that a lot of people liked it. Then you have people testing it, seeing like that it works, has a lot of activity. And let's see. Yeah, it still seems to need some reviews. Um, in this case, we have two reviews by people who are working for the Godot Foundation, but neither of them are actually on the rendering team. But I think this one has a very, very big chance of getting it in, or at least maybe it's being salvaged to another one. So it's something like probably comes in 4.7, but that's more or less what I can gather from looking at this for 2 seconds. The fact that there's a lot of conversation and that there's like a meaningful improvement, you can really see why this would be something that's wanted. But you just need to just wait a little bit longer, I guess. Let's see some comments I might have missed. What's happening with the bigger, more general asset library? It's been worked on. There's been some improvements. Now that we have more people using it, we've seen that people really like to submit infinite amount of text. So we are limiting those sort of things. And yeah, they are making just many adjustments to it all the time. Was it do you have let's see, let's continue. Do you see Godot and Blender having more compatibility in the future, like streamlining workflows between the two programs? Yes, I kind of answered to that one on the last stream, but I do believe that the bigger improvements that can happen there need to happen on GLTF. So the better GLTF gets and the better it is integrated in both software, the easier it will be for everyone to just use one file format and make sure that they will look the same in both platforms and things like that. Okay, I think I'm gonna be leaving it now. I'm gonna reply to a couple of more questions. But yeah, do you remember Godot of Reddit? Yes, I do remember Godot. I'm actually like trying to get the well, I'm not gonna say more. I'm gonna try and see what can we do. But I really like it. The emoji was super cool. Would be nice to get them. Trying to get some custom emotes here on the channel. I don't know if that's possible, but yeah, it would be nice. Gonna leave it there. But yeah. When do you think the new Godot store be ready? The one still in beta. Well, the plan is to, as soon as we finish with the 4.6 release, we can get the PR that Yelham is working to the editor, and that would be one of the big features for 4.7, like including the new asset store in the asset tab. Once that's there, I will probably like move it out of beta, because right now it's in beta, and just let people test a little bit more how it works during that release time. And once everybody's happy with it, it should come out in 4.7 and replace the asset library. The biggest challenge will be to replace the asset library, but I think that it will be possible. So yeah. I guess you can expect 3 or 4 months until we start doing all that, but who knows? Maybe earlier. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here now. I see Gergelis Keys from Migran on the chat. Hello, it's nice to see you here. And it's a very good comment. If you need a feature, just merge it on your fork. But yeah. Godot as a tool will be out of beta confirmed. Yes. But yeah. All right. Well, it was been good to see you. I hope to see you online. Remember, if you have a controller and you can help Tivo with, let's see if I can get the link, with recording a video, please get in touch, share it. Would be nice to have it for the release page. I think somebody is already replying and helping out, but you can always check if there's any other need from the release page team. Okay. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye.